poppin'? What's poppin'? Welcome back to another great episode of Simone with the Sports. I'm Simone, bringing you guys the almost daily sports talk, because your girl, she been busy, so I ain't even gonna lie and talk about daily sports talk. Almost daily sports talk. So if you're new here, or if you're old here, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you comment on this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also check in the link down below in my description box to buy me a coffee to help fuel this channel and help fuel this year's NFL draft. So you can use that link to buy me a coffee down below. Also, there's a link to subscribe to my podcast, Tough Calls, where me and Dylan have some of your favorite sports analysts, some of your favorite former and current athletes chop it up with us on the pod. So why would you want to miss out on all that good stuff? Check my description box. Also, there is a notification sign so you can turn your notification bells on so you don't miss a single video, especially since y'all don't know when I'm dropping now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like Drake, certified level boy. You don't know when I'm dropping. So turn your notification bells on. But today we are talking about Patrick Surtain, okay? Cornerback out of Alabama. So we're going to talk about his draft profile, but first let's talk about why a team like the Philadelphia Eagles would need Patrick Surtain. And the Eagles better watch out, because there's some other teams that are definitely interested in Patrick Surtain, especially a team like the Dallas Cowboys. And all they need to do is add some more pieces on defense, and that team would be nasty, especially when they get Dak Prescott back. So Patrick Surtain is definitely a name we need to watch in this draft and in next season. Patrick Surtain is a cornerback out of Alabama, and he's being compared a lot to Caleb Farley, another corner prospect, this time out of Virginia Tech. Shout out ACC, you know how we do. But a lot of people are in a debate. It's kind of like Jamar Chase versus Devonta Smith. Some people are like Patrick is better, some people are like Caleb is better. But let's talk about Patrick Surtain today. Why would the Eagles go cornerback in the first round? Well, one, with the number 6 overall pick, I do think that the Eagles should, if Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, boom, 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 are on the board, the Eagles should go, I think, Jamar Chase or Devonta Smith. However, I don't think we can go wrong going corner at this position either. So this is a situation if the Eagles draft a cornerback. Now, mind you, another way we could get Patrick Surtain, because he's not going back past the first round, is if the Eagles enter a situation where they draft back for a later pick in the first round. And if they're picking in, let's say, the teens, or if they're picking in the 20s, Patrick Surtain, well, he's not going to be there in the 20s. But if we're picking in the teens in a situation where we draft back, Patrick Surtain is going to be an option. And the Eagles definitely need a lockdown corner next to Darius Slay, especially when we're going to be going up against a Dallas Cowboys team twice next year that's going to be loaded, we know, at the wide receiver position. If they have Dak Prescott back, when they have Dak Prescott back, because I just don't see a situation where they don't get Dak Prescott, we can't have them picking apart Avonte Maddox or whoever we have next to Darius Slay. They're always going to go to the guy opposite of Darius Slay. At this point, that's why we need to lock down the other side of the field as well. Our new defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, is a former defensive back guy from the Indianapolis Colts. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do shore up the cornerback position, especially since our defensive coordinator is a guy with a deep defensive back mind. So I definitely could see us going cornerback. And I definitely could see Patrick Surtain being that guy. Avonte Maddox can move back. He can be backup. But I just don't like the situation where we haven't had Avonte Maddox start. And sorry, I keep wiping my nose, y'all. It's cold. Y'all know I live in the South. Shout out ATL. But y'all, it's been cold, okay? It's been cold down here. I don't know what's going on with the weather. But yes, I don't want to see Avonte Maddox starting next to Darius Slay. A lineup with Avonte Maddox, Darius Slay, and Nikhil. If we keep Nikhil, it's just too vulnerable when it comes to between Nikhil and Avonte. We need to get to lock down that position. So let's get into Patrick Surtain's draft profile. So the draft report that we're going to go over today is by Jordan Reed from the Draft Network. So let's break down Patrick Surtain. Okay, so Jordan Reed says, no matter the tempo of the wide receiver, Patrick Surtain Jr. always looks relaxed in his techniques. He can be a bit handsy, but he's excellent at not attracting attention when doing so. He's also elite at competing through the catch point. So the strengths that they have for Patrick Surtain is his height and frame. The best part about his game is his patience, followed up by his reactionary quickness. So a cornerback that's very quick to react, especially with a lot of these tricky offenses that we have going on now. And another thing that I already like so far is them saying how he's good at covering up his hand movements, because we know we had a lot of flags We had a lot of penalties. That's something that we don't need. Usually when you have rookies coming in, usually rookies are usually the ones who commit a lot of the penalties, and that's something that we don't need against our favors. So that is good that we have somebody on our prospect like Surtain who's careful about that. Surtain understands and has nearly perfected the fine line of knowing when to react, but also knowing when not to overreact to the movements of wideouts. Not asked to get his hands on wideouts frequently at the line, he uses his hips and short choppy steps to mirror receivers during the opening moments of reps. With well above average short area quickness, he has the ability to keep his focus on proper body areas, to flip his hips and react accordingly in order to remain sticky with targets. And that's going to be huge because we know a lot of these tricky wideouts will really break somebody's ankles, will really juke somebody out. So knowing that Patrick is disciplined but also quick to react will be very, very, very beneficial for the Eagles, especially since Darius Slay is in his 30s, and Darius Slay is a lockdown corner, but Darius Slay is on the back end of his career. So having somebody like Patrick who is looked to be a lockdown corner come in would be great, especially like I said, when we're coming up against Dallas Cowboys, a team who is loaded when it comes to the wide receiver position. So they said it's a trait that he has been developing over time. He's sneaky with knowing when and how to get his hands on receivers within route stems, but also not being over aggressive to attract the attention of officials. His smarts with understanding which levels of physicality will draw flags, but also being effective enough to cause frustration and disruption in the next level of savvy that his game has tapped into. So getting in those guys' head, but not getting in the ref's head, that's going to be very much huge, especially with, like I said, these explosive offenses. Just look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just look at the Kansas City Chiefs, just teams with so much weapons on offense. We have to have the defense that can match up with these teams. Another area that's noticeable in Alabama Junior's corners game is the wherewithal of playing through the catch point. While in coverage, Surtain seems to always find ways to make a play on the ball or have an impact on the presence of it. Routinely playing through the hands of wideouts, he's able to break up passes at the last second after initially seeing that the receivers were able to haul it in. Many of his pass breakups are him unraveling the ball directly following the wideout being exposed to the ball. Ball skills is an added incentive with quarters, but is seen as one of the major plus as Surtain is a natural once the ball is in the air and arrives at the moment of truth. So sticking to his assignment and coverage is huge. A lot of these guys don't do that. They fail, they give up on the play, but him sticking to it, even when the guy has the ball in his hands, still following through and try to commit a pass breakup, that's huge. Stick to the play until the knee is down, until the refs call it a catch. Follow through. Like a lot of these guys, when they're in coverage, they will stick to the play up until the catch point. No, follow through to the catch point. And that's something that only really disciplined corners do, and that's huge that Patrick has been noticed of doing it on the college level. So go ahead and bring that over to the NFL because that's going to be huge. So of course, there are another big positive I noticed about Surtain and some of his other reports that wasn't mentioned in this one, so I'm going to go ahead and mention it now, is his ability to help on the run, against the run defense as well. You know, on those trick plays where it looked like the cornerback might be throwing the ball but then ends up running the ball, him being able to come up and help, that's a huge plus to him as well, breaking his assignment when, you know, it is a trick play. So the negatives on Surtain, because there's always some negatives, close distance, foot quickness and speed in order to turn and run from the short to intermediate areas of the field. The separation is allowed once entering the deeper portions. In a straight line, the longer routes had time to develop, the more receivers were able to create distances from him further down the field. Surtain is sufficient with sticking to receivers during the early portions of routes, which forces many throwers to look away. But even if the ball isn't thrown into his coverage, it's noticeable that receivers gain strides on him downfield over time. Deep speed is one of the biggest question marks surrounding his game, and as he isn't tested in those portions of the field, often due to his presence and teams having respect for his game. But when passes have been thrown in those areas, the separation has been evident, even if incomplete. So that is huge. And one of the things that Caleb Farley had over Patrick Surtain was Caleb Farley's speed. And they're saying now that the deep speed is something that has been kind of a knock on Patrick Surtain, but they did mention the fact that usually it's not a problem because the offenses, the quarterbacks respect him. So he's not always in that one-on-one deep ball situations. So that is something that's obviously going to be a concern, especially when you're playing at the NFL level. The wide receivers are much faster than they are in college. So that's something that we're definitely going to have to watch. And honestly, that's a big, it's a big thing. Getting that separation is what really takes a good wide out, a great wide out to an amazing wide out. And Patrick's just going to have to keep up. But overall, Patrick Surtain is definitely a top 15 pick. He's supposed to be a lockdown corner, and that is definitely something that the Eagles need, and a lot of these other teams can use in their roster as well. There is a lot of corners that we could go in the second round. So just because if we miss out on Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain, it's not over for us going and get a corner in the with our pick in the second round. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about Patrick Surtain. If you think that those critiques are big enough for you to be taking Caleb Farley over him, we will talk about Caleb Farley's report another day. But I definitely think the Eagles need to address cornerback, whether in this draft, either first round or second round, because now first round, of course, if we end up trading back, I don't think we need to go corner with number 6, just because we can get a game changer of a wide receiver and the number with a number 6 pick. But if we do end up trading back and we're picking in the teens, we definitely need to go in one of these corners. And in the second round, I can definitely see us going defense as well, whether it's linebacker Jabril Cox like we talked about before, or whether it's one of these corners that are supposed to be top in the second round. So make sure you like this video, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think. Also check the links in my description box down below to buy me a coffee to help fuel this channel, and also subscribe to our podcast Tough Calls. And until I see you guys next time, bye.